What's so interesting? I was sharing this morning with a girlfriend of mine. I am reading the 1 Year Bible.
Yeah, me
And
too.
oh, I love that Bible.
So
But I
cool.
have fallen off, life be lifing.
Yeah.
I was reading one of the passages in Luke, and one of the apostles asked Jesus, Lord, how do we increase our faith? And Jesus does what Jesus does and is, very parabolic in his stories, and you almost miss it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting because he gave the story of a servant and a master. And he says, you wouldn't say to the servant, make me something to eat, right? No, you, the servant, would go prepare the meal, serve it, and then eat. And then a couple lines down, Jesus says, go be obedient.
Mm.
And right there, I was like, oh, it's so easy. Our faith is increased with our obedient action,
So
with
true.
the doing of the things in obedience. And people expect confidence and certainty to be present before taking obedient action. That's what they're waiting for.
So
And
true.
what I'm learning is that no, the confidence and the certainty come after you take this leap of faith filled action when you don't know if it's going to work out or how it's going to work out, and you're willing to just kind of make that leap and hope you land on the other side and nobody dies.
It's so true. And it's, as I've seen and what you probably witnessed as well, people connected to you, people in your community, people that you coach, who watch you take those obedient steps, who watch you step out in that like moment of, and it can be a place of like fear and faith coexisting. And yet
Mhm.
you're allowing, based on your obedience, that is Peter getting out of the boat, right? Like, I am sure he's like, this doesn't make sense. There's no way I'm going to drown. This isn't going to work. And he's just got his eyes fixed. But think of all the people who witnessed that. We don't ever really talk about the witnessing of somebody
Mhm.
else taking obedient action. You actually having your book in the bookstores, right? Like that inspires people. And hopefully it inspires them not just to wish or hope, but to actually do.
Yeah. We hope. Now, what's interesting is when we think about all the people that witness and all the people that see what's possible, one of the things I hear often is, I believe it's possible for her or
Mm.
him, but it's not possible for me. And the reason that we feel this way, and want to talk
Let's
neuroscience,
go.
the reason that we feel this way is because there's no evidence. And what the mind is always trying to do, it's looking to the past,
Yeah.
our past, and it's trying to inform the present and make decisions about the future. But if you can suspend the look back to the past, if you can actually say, I noticed that in the past, this is what used to happen, but today is a new day. I'm not in the past and I'm open for the possibility. And the vision that I see above me and the evidence that I have that it's possible for me is that Tamra did it.
It's
And then
good.
the unconscious mind will be like, well, but that's Tamra, not you. And then you say, yes, that was Tamra. And Tamra's success is leaving clues. And so I'm just going to look and take notes and see what she did. And what can I do that is similar but different? Same, but different. And
Good.
that's one of the things that I did as I was writing my book. I studied all the bestsellers. I went into it just, how did they market their book? What was their first step? Could I do that first step too? Yes, I could.
It's
And
so great. And I think a
continue.
lot of people aren't looking at it from the perspective because they get limited, they get focused just on themselves, right? They're in their own mirror. And you're like, hold on, step outside and look into the mirror and the image of Christ. And that's the cool thing about being in community with people is like, I see the Christ within you. And it inspires me because I'm like, whoa, if she has that trait, because he has that trait, my daddy has that trait. I'm like my daddy. She's like I'm about to unlock something for somebody here to say, stop trying to become something that you aren't meant to be
Yeah.
based on your own limited belief or your past. And I love that you brought that part up because my past isn't all pretty, some of it's pretty, but all of it's not. And if I was to operate based in that place, and there are surely moments where I can feel those thoughts coming in when it comes to finances, when it comes to security, when it comes to protection, or even a place of like, is my marriage stable? I can get put into fear zone. And then I remember like, oh, he's been sovereign here. He's been sovereign here. He's never let me down. So I have to turn my energy from that external awareness to that eternal awareness.
Mm. That's so good. Yeah. I don't have a response to that because I feel like you nailed it. It is, well, maybe I do have a response. Well, this, what I love that you said was that you start to look around and these thoughts begin to pop up. And when, again, I'm going to bring into the neuroscience, it's being a gentle observer of the thoughts and recognizing that thoughts and feelings are not fact, right? A thought is just a thought. And there are very, very few original thoughts and ideas. So if you're thinking it, there's a high likelihood that it's not your original thought. It's not even your belief. It's just what you heard someone say
That's
or
good.
think, or what you consumed on social media, and you have somehow encoded it into your programming to say, oh, this is true about me. Or because my husband is behaving a certain way, and when so and so's husband behaved a certain way, they got divorced, like, oh, we're in trouble.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, oh, my husband is just being a human today and having a human moment. And I too am being a human and having a human moment. And so we're both humaning at the same time. And it's not productive. It's not a helpful thought. It's not a helpful experience. Likewise with the feelings. Well, I feel you made me feel some sort of way. No one makes you feel any old way. They do or say something, or they don't do or don't say something, and you have a thought about it, and you assign meaning to that thought, and the meaning creates some sort of negative emotion. And so now you feel bad, but they didn't make you feel anything. Your
That's so
thoughts created the feeling. Now, sometimes you will have a feeling before you have a conscious thought. That's because your unconscious mind is always at bay. It's always working, and it's always serving you up ideas that you're not even consciously aware of, but you'll feel it. In my book, Permission to Offend, I give the example. There's a section called Slow Your Scroll. And so think about, you ever scrolling on social media and you feel good. You're like, great. And then all of a sudden you're like, and you feel like bad, but you don't know why. You have no idea what happened. I always say, think about, what were you doing right before you started feeling this ickiness? And what happened? You saw someone achieving a victory that you wanted to have. And all of a sudden, there was this unconscious thought of like, oh my gosh, she's winning and I'm not. There's something wrong with me. I've got to catch up, or I didn't do this. And now you start, castigating yourself and punishing yourself for all the things you didn't do or thought you'd be doing, or you're further along, whatever the story is. But the interesting thing is that the feeling occurs first because the unconscious mind processed the emotion, processed the thought. So if you're ever wandering around your day and you can't figure out why you feel crappy, take a look at what you've consumed. Emotionally, spiritually, physically, visually. And then, and I can say this on any podcast, but I feel even more open to say this: go spend some time with God.
Yes.
Like if you're really feeling cruddy, go turn on the praise and worship music. Here's the thing that the enemy does, because he's such a sneaky little devil that he is.
Yes, he is.
So you'll have this idea of, I feel crappy. I feel, like I'm just down. I'm depressed. I feel anxious, overwhelmed, burnt out, whatever. Remind me to tell you my theory about burnout. It's a good one.
Ooh, okay. I need that.
So you think whatever the thought is, and in your heart of hearts that what makes everything better? Spending time with Jesus.
The Lord, yeah.
Getting in the word, listening to a praise and worship, something. And you'll feel resistance because the enemy will tell you you're wasting your time. That's not what you need. You need to watch YouTube and get something funny, or you need to get back to work, or that's just going to distract you from the whole day. You're going to get sucked into the word, and you might go down a word rabbit hole. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, for sure. They're the best though. I get so excited. They're like, where's my day?
Yes, and then it's like you got to get the Concordia and all the
yes.
And then you're texting your friends like, oh my God, did you know this in Luke? Mind blown. How do you miss this? I just read this passage 3 weeks ago. I didn't even see that there. And so the enemy will remind you, like, distraction. Don't be distracted by the Lord. And then you got to shut that voice down and get into that quiet time with God. Because yes, you might go down a word rabbit hole, but when you make time for God, God will make time for everything else. When you make time for God, it's so amazing how when we, and I'm reminding myself, by the way, so this is not me preaching. This is just me reminding
Oh, you can
myself.
preach all day, girl.
When we actually take that time with God,
Yeah.
God starts opening up all these opportunities, all this money. You know how that I made thousands of dollars today, literally, because I get a notification.
Yes.
I did nothing today.
Come on.
Those thousands of dollars that came into my bank account. Now I did work
Of course.
previous, right? Like, so it's not like, oh, I just,
Compounding.
yeah, it wasn't just a
I
one of
woke
those
up like this.
money just dropped into my bank account. But I share that to say it was worth it to have spent the time with the Lord this morning.